Now, someone who keeps putting her foot in her mouth, every time she opens her mouth, it's cringe, it's bizarre, I don't know what world she's living in. We have to talk about Charlize Theron. If you remember, Charlize Theron went on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast recently. She said a whole bunch of nonsense. Basically, she doesn't need a man, she doesn't want a man, she'd rather raise her transgender kids all by her lonesome in her big old mansion in Hollywood, okay? But now she has decided that basically Hollywood is still sexist because they don't want to continue producing a ton of action films with women. Let me read you a little bit about what's going on here. So Charlize Theron, she's criticized the film industry for being reluctant to support female-led action films. And she said all of this in an interview with the New York Times, so of course they were gobbling it up like, you know, turkey on Thanksgiving. So then Theron and fellow actress Uma Thurman spoke to the outlet about the challenges women face in the genre as they promote their new Netflix superhero sequel, The Old Guard 2. Now, I have no idea what the hell The Old Guard 2 is. I don't know if there was an Old Guard 1. So it clearly wasn't that much of a hit, but it sounds like there are two women in action films. Charlize Theron and Uma Thurman, they're promoting an action film with Netflix, and they're going out there and saying Hollywood doesn't want to do action films for women. You're so full of crap, Charlize Theron. So full of crap. Okay. So Theron said that securing the lead roles in action films is much more challenging for women because Hollywood viewed these films as more of a risk. Charlize Theron said, "That's known. Action films with female leads don't get greenlit as much as the ones with male leads. I think the thing that always frustrates me is the fact that guys will get a free ride." Now let me explain this to you, right? Charlize Theron, she's been in huge action films. She's been in Mad Max Fury Road, Fast and Furious. She's also been in the Atomic Blonde film, which didn't do that well. It was a female-led action film, okay, about the Berlin Wall, I believe. They're in Europe. It had a great soundtrack. The movie didn't do that well, and it didn't get a sequel. It still doesn't have a sequel. So she can cry all she wants. If the movies aren't doing that great, they're not going to continue getting the funding. It doesn't mean everybody is racist and sexist and hates you. And Charlize Theron, right? You're worth, what, $200 million, $300 million allegedly? If you wanted to promote up-and-coming women and do action films, you fund it. You do the funding yourself. Go find one other investor. Reese Witherspoon has a whole production company and produces films and licensed books that she finds, you know, passionate, she finds that she loves. So why don't you go option some IP and do your own film, Charlize Theron? But she wants to continue playing the victim card, even though she's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and has done a ton of action films. And the thing that I will say is this. When it comes to action films, I feel like so much of the audience is women, and sometimes women and gays would rather see a hot, hunky guy running and flipping through the air and swerving around shirtless in a fast car than they would like to see a woman. I think there have been big female-led action films, but guess what, James Bond, you know what? Sue me. James Bond is a guy. Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man, not Spider-Woman, okay? Batman, it's Batman, not Batwoman. So cry me a river, okay? Go create some new films. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't blame everything on misogyny or racism when you don't get your way. And the fact is, Charlize Theron, I'm looking at this list, you've been in a ton of films. Some of them, you were the lead. It was an action film and it flopped. So we wish you well, Charlize Theron, but this is that theme in Hollywood where if something goes wrong, they just blame it on misogyny, racism, everyone sucks. Americans are not inherently racist. They're not inherently sexist, misogynist, none of the above, okay? Maybe the movies just weren't that great. Go create a good movie and people will turn out and see it. I remember they did a remake of Charlie's Angels a few years ago. I believe it was with Kristen Stewart and some other folks. The movie did terribly. It did so bad. That's not because people are sexist. I think the script was just terrible and the movie was edited in a terrible way. So unless you have good movies, okay, people aren't going to go see them. It's not that people are racist and sexist, but this is what they did with Kamala Harris. I remember in the election, Kamala Harris, if you criticized her, gave her even the slightest bit of criticism, you're racist, you're sexist because she's a woman and she's knocking down barriers. No, she's an utter calamity and she's terrible. Okay, not everything has to do with race and gender. Sometimes people can be based and judged off of merit, like these films. So Charlize Theron, go back to the drawing board, maybe listen to some of my advice here, listen to little old Link here, and go finance your own action films if that's something you're passionate about.